I'm not some damsel in distress waiting for you to ride in on your high horse.
I'm really sorry. I was just trying to be kind.
Kind?
Are you surprised that everyone hates the movie? Not at all. Society is far too racist and misogynist to appreciate the reimagining of a classic Disney princess as an ugly Colombian chick.
If you want to be kind, disappear and take the patriarchy with you. Seriously, go away, stalker.
Wait, how often are you in line for the Snow White ride?
I'm a narcissist.
Rachel Zegler has been trending for all the wrong reasons lately. Tone-deaf interviews, political hot takes.
You're gonna put out a Disney film with Snow White, a beloved American character, with a woman who hates more than half the country, the half that just elected Donald Trump.
And a Snow White remake no one asked for. But the latest twist? She picked a fight with the one show you should never pick a fight with, South Park.
Check under the bed and make sure there's no Disney executives under there.
Oh, not again.
Yeah, only this time, it wasn't just me. They were taking all my favorite people and replacing them with diverse women complaining about the patriarchy.
What followed was a full-scale internet implosion. One parody episode, one furious actress, and an avalanche of memes. And it's not just South Park who piled on. The Simpsons, Jack Black, even the box office had something to say.
Even the one that was their worst, Dumbo, did better than this has done. And they postponed the release of this thing, Ben, for a year because their star, Rachel Zegler, was so unlikable.
But how did we get here? Why did Zegler lash out? And why is everyone, from the right wing to casual Disney fans, so done with this version of woke princess culture? Let's rewind. In classic South Park fashion, the episode didn't just critique, it annihilated. The fake film inside the show was titled Woke White, The Reinvention. And it was basically a drag performance of everything critics say Disney has become. Obsessed with identity boxes, allergic to charm.
You think it's perfectly normal that Cartman is suddenly a black woman?
You probably don't like that Indiana Jones got replaced by a female either, huh? Probably have a problem with Black Spider-Man, too.
They portrayed Zegler's Snow White as a power-hungry, self-righteous monarch with more buzzwords than personality. And then there was Kathleen Kennedy, the ultimate punching bag, seen yelling things like,
The last time I had the dream, I was walking down the school hallway. And then I see Butters, and he's like, Hey, Eric, you want to see what my mom packed me for lunch? And that's when I start to notice that something's wrong. Everyone I cared about has been systematically replaced. And finally, I want to scream, and I'm like, why are they replacing every single character with someone who is diverse? But then Kenny's like, it's not our fault, it's because of Kathleen Kennedy. But then Kathleen Kennedy says like, make it more lame. And everyone in town is like, no, please, Kathleen Kennedy, stop ruining everything. But Kathleen Kennedy is all like, put another gay diverse woman in it, make it more lame. And the Disney stock just keeps going down and down and down. And then Bob Iger is all like, no, what's going on with my stock? No, Kathleen Kennedy.
But the satire didn't stop there. They even flipped the iconic poisoned apple scene into a DEI manifesto.
This is no ordinary apple, my dear. It's a magic wishing apple. A wishing apple? You offer it to me freely. In place of the patriarchy, you would have a queen! Not white, but diverse, inclusive, and equitable! I will become the leader I know I can be! All shall love me and despair!
You could practically feel Zegler's TikTok drafts crying in the distance. It was savage, but it was also resonant. The show channeled months of public frustration, and that's when things got messy. According to behind-the-scenes reports, Rachel Zegler wasn't just offended, she was livid. Sources claimed she contacted her team, demanding they pressure Comedy Central to pull the episode entirely. This wasn't a passive-aggressive tweet, this was a full-on cancellation attempt.
What would you say to those who are just kind of overly critiquing the film at this point? You've worked so hard on it.
I'm getting on across.
But South Park? Yeah, they don't exactly fold to pressure, especially not when they know they struck a nerve. Meanwhile, other shows smelled blood in the water. Even The Simpsons, yes, the family-friendly satire owned by Disney, jumped in with their own reboot roast.
Because a woman shouldn't have to depend on a man. Snow White was brought back to life by a lady doctor.
And she lived happily ever after?
Well, she couldn't indulge in strenuous activities like handball, but otherwise, she was fine.
That's nice.
They introduced Snow Woke, a princess who mocked fairy tale romance, true love, and maybe even the idea of likability itself.
Whoa! She's beautiful.
Maybe she's been placed under some kind of a curse.
And all that will wake her is the kiss of a handsome...
I'm awake already!
Guess it's you and me again, doorknob.
So Snow White slept and waited for her prince to come, but he never did.
And just like that, Zegler went from starlet to satire punchline across 2 networks. One episode of South Park was bad enough, but 2 major animated institutions treating your movie like meme fodder, that's career-defining, just not in the way she hoped. They introduced Snow Woke, a princess who mocked fairy tale romance, true love, and maybe even the idea of likability itself. And just like that, Zegler went from starlet to satire punchline across 2 networks. One episode of South Park was bad enough, but 2 major animated institutions treating your movie like meme fodder? That's career-defining, just not in the way she hoped. Rachel could have ignored it, could have played it cool. Instead, she doubled down, and Hollywood started talking. Jack Black, of all people, reportedly confronted her after one of her viral interviews. What was said? We'll probably never know, but sources say it hit hard enough that Zegler ended up in therapy. And then came the financial nightmare. Disney poured over $200 million into the Snow White remake. Between marketing, reshoots, and damage control, they expected at least $150 million back opening weekend. They barely cracked $43 million. It wasn't just a flop, it was an embarrassment. Merchandise didn't move. Families stayed home. The message was loud and clear. Nobody wants to be lectured by a fairy tale. This wasn't just a PR misfire. It was a masterclass in how to destroy your own momentum. Zegler's interviews weren't promotional, they were polarizing. She openly bashed traditional romance, dismissed the original Snow White, and dragged entire fan bases with her. Add to that her sudden political takes, timed horribly with Disney's already shaky public image, and you've got a branding meltdown. It all begged the question, who was this movie for? Fans of the original? Alienated? Conservatives? Offended? Progressives? Even they started cringing. Opening weekend was supposed to be her big moment. Instead, it turned into meme content. Zegler and her close friends showed up at a near-empty theater, hoping to celebrate. What they found was silence. No cheers, no crowd, just echoes. They tried to spin it on social media. Clips were posted of them joking with employees, playing up the irony. But the vibe, grim, even the branded popcorn buckets looked ashamed. That's how bad it got. An actress once hailed as the next Disney queen was now the internet's favorite punchline. Not because she failed, but because she made herself impossible to root for. And in the background, South Park reruns, uncensored, unapologetic, still winning. Rachel's downfall didn't happen in a vacuum. Behind closed doors, Disney execs were reportedly scrambling, furious investors. Internal drama, reshoot budgets ballooning. The Snow White backlash wasn't just bad press, it was radioactive. Some inside the studio blamed Zegler for torpedoing the film's image. Others pointed fingers at Gal Gadot or Peter Dinklage for triggering the dwarf controversy in the first place. But one thing was clear. Disney had underestimated the public's patience with reimagined fairy tales that feel more like lectures than stories. The irony? By trying so hard to modernize Snow White, they stripped it of what made it timeless. Romance, wonder, simplicity. In trying to please everyone, they pleased no one. Joe Rogan, Bill Maher, and others chimed in, not to pile on Zegler personally, but to call out the entire creative direction. South Park didn't cancel Rachel Zegler, she tried to cancel herself. One condescending soundbite at a time. And in an era where audiences can smell inauthenticity a mile away, all South Park did was hold up the mirror. The real question isn't whether Zegler will bounce back. It's whether Hollywood learns anything from this. Because if Disney keeps treating its classics like problems to be fixed instead of stories to be told, then the backlash we saw here, it's just the beginning. And if you're thinking about trying to cancel South Park next, just remember, they've been uncancelable since 1997. Good luck with that.